Hello, my name is Nicholas. Now today, I'm going to tell you a story of what may have seemed a typical day to any normal intern, but there was nothing normal about today. Now, to understand my horror, I want you to do a few things before you continue reading. Firstly, turn out all lights, utter darkness, the only light radiating from your computer screen. Secondly, make sure there is utter silence, not a sound, no television, no music, no talking. Lastly, make sure you're alone. You'll see why soon enough. Oh, how very soon you'll see. It was my first day as an intern at Nickelodeon Studios. They picked me up after receiving my associate's degree from ITT Tech. It was a stupid school, but it taught me what I needed for this chance. Running donuts and making coffee sucked, I can tell you that much, but it had its perks. Me being on the road of an editor, I sometimes received the opportunity to see episodes before they were quote-unquote officially released. Today, I was invited to the editing studio. But you see, it was odd. There was no one there. Normally this would cost me my internship, but oh god, I couldn't resist the urge. It was overwhelming, encompassing. Oh dear God, that feeling. Now become accustomed to hearing those melodramatic, oh dear God, every 5 seconds because it's full of it. As soon as I walked in, the door slammed behind me. I figured this was one of those somewhat cruel pranks the editor sometimes pulled on the new guys. So when the door locked, I figured this was some kind of punishment and my heart slowly sank. My internship was in huge jeopardy. Oh, they probably knew I was here. Panicking, I ran at the door with all my force, slamming into it with all my might. Now, not to boast, but I was not the weakest guy. I had been working out for the past 3 years, but dear Lord, there was something on the other side of that door. Some force stronger than the strongest man, making sure I couldn't leave until I did what I was sent in to do. Now in my panic, I hadn't noticed the netbook, the chair, and the small table that was sitting on. In the disc tray, there was a blank CD. Usually these were editing discs, completely cheery episodes just barely leaving production. It didn't have any markings or even a name, but something beckoned to me. Something pushed me to the chair and forced me to sit. As I slowly pulled the chair back, my heart rate slowly increased. You could almost hear it in my chest. Thump, thump, thump! I slowly pushed the DVD tray shut. Without any prompt or confirmation, it just started. Something seemed odd straight away. Normally, it would open in VLC or Windows Media Player. However, this was odd. It just opened with no video player. It seemed the computer itself was just a video player, but it couldn't be. It seemed just like any normal netbook the interns or staff carried. Or was it? As the title card flashed, I could immediately see my first assumption was wrong. It wasn't a cheery or slightly edited build. They never had title cards. This was either finished or just ready to leave production. The title card seemed odd. I had never seen anything like it. Instead of the usual fun font they used that popped and seemed colorful, of course to appeal more to children, it seemed more gothic. Something you would see in a horror film. The words in the title card made my heart sink farther. It had to be a joke, right? Why would someone try to scare me this terribly, though? The words read, "You nosy intern, you shouldn't have come in here." and the usual happy bubble transition that we were all used to was gone. The text just melted down the screen, almost like blood running down a wall, and it slowly faded into the show from a couple of seconds of utter silence. It transitioned into one of those familiar openings, with SpongeBob slowly snoring in bed and Gary sleeping beside him on his newspaper. The blowhole of an alarm clock was there. Even the bed was. I began to feel relived. I remembered all this from when I was a kid. It seemed normal, but was it? Oh dear God, I was wrong. Forgive me. You must forgive me. I'm choked up just writing this. I wanted to forget this, but something compels me to share my story. I was expecting the blowhole to go off and SpongeBob to start his typical routine. Oh, how bad that thing annoyed me as a kid. But it didn't come. There must have been at least just 3+ minutes of just SpongeBob snoring. Then, something finally happened. It started to slowly pan into his face. Oh, so slowly. Waiting in anticipation, just dying for something to finally happen. I would later greatly regret this decision. Oh, what I would give if it had just ended right then and there. As it finally reached deep into his face, you could clearly see his expression. It was one of horror, malice, one someone in a terrible nightmare would have. His eyes almost seemed as if they had been stitched shut. It then had a transition. Not the usual fade to black or the joyful bubbles, but something altogether much more sinister. It was a fiery transition, almost like the previous screen had just burned up. By all appearances, we were now in SpongeBob's mind, in his dream, his nightmare. It appeared to be Bikini Bottom. Oh, but there was something very, very wrong. The whole city seemed in shambles. The horizon blood red. The buildings burning. SpongeBob was just walking down the road. It seemed the typical path he would normally take to the Krusty Krab. The people around him. Oh dear God, I still remember it. The blood-curdling screams. At this moment, I realized that there was something very wrong. This had no appeal to children. Hell, most adults would find this a bit morbid at this point. The scream. Oh, the scream. It was one of someone in great pain being tortured or slowly dying. A blood-curdling. At this point, I couldn't see who it was coming from. Just SpongeBob walking, slowly, silently, as the screaming slowly continued, getting louder and louder. Oh God. I almost wanted to claw my eyes out when he turned the corner. I saw the source of the screams. It was terrifying, horrible, inhuman. It was Patrick hammered into a stake, almost like the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. But also, his stomach. Oh God, it had been torn open. His entrails slow leaking out. The look on his face, seeing SpongeBob, he seemed relived for a moment, almost as if his salvation had some. His eyes began to water, just staring at SpongeBob, almost beckoning. His eyes spoke for him. They screamed, "Please, oh God, please help me." We then transitioned over to SpongeBob. He now just stood there, staring back at Patrick, watching his friend slowly suffer and die. Patrick began to weep slowly, almost as if he understood something that I, the viewer, did not. SpongeBob then began to open his mouth. Slowly, in a low, almost satanic, demonic voice, he whispered,
"Suffer, fat one. You, this whole town, brought this upon themselves."
And then he turned and slowly walked away. At this moment, I screamed out in horror, almost praying that someone would hear me. Someone would walk in. It would cost me my internship, but anything to end this. Now, you may find yourself thinking, why don't you just stand up and attempt once more to escape? I couldn't. Something deep down inside me told me if I moved, I would regret it. I had to finish watching. I just had to. SpongeBob then continued down the road, slowly approaching the Krusty Krab. In the background, you could now hear more screams. Some were horrible, blood-curdling ones. You could tell they came from one in great agony. But there had been one new sound thrown in. A horrible, twisted laugh. One of great malice. Almost as if someone had been hunting an animal and thoroughly enjoying himself all too much. The two in the end of that sentence being one with one O instead of two O's. You could hear them very distinctly, fading away into the background, as if they were chasing something in the other direction. You could hear them. Oh, even faded, it was still heart-stopping. Gah-ha-ha-ha-ha-ha, mwahaha. SpongeBob seemed unfazed. That's not how you spell unfazed. Unfazed right here in the story is spelled U-N-P-H-A-S-E-D. It's actually U-N-F-A-S-E-D. I'm almost convinced that this writer's native language is not English. Anyway, SpongeBob seemed unfazed, as if he was almost used to it. You could now slowly hear clattering behind. I hear slowly? I hear slowly. Great. I just hear in slow motion. All right. You can now slowly hear clattering behind him, slowly breaking the mind-numbing silence. It sounded almost as if something was crawling slowly toward him. We're gonna have a couple of counters at the end of this episode, just counting off how many times certain things were said in the story. Because there is constant repetition in this story of a couple of things. SpongeBob then slowly turned, as if he expected this. And as he slowly turned, his face slowly came into view. His eyes, they changed. They no longer seemed to be his normal, happy, joyful-looking eyes. They were blood red and full of malice, hate, and anger. One would expect this face from a demon. Hell, even the devil himself would find this look fitting. I myself now slowly began to weep with no end to this horror in sight. Sight spelled as S-I-T-E instead of S-I-G-H-T. His eyes now fixed on something. It slowly transitioned over. It was Patrick. Dear God. Oh my God, forgive me. No human should be forced to see that. His entire lower body was now missing, with his intestines slowly trailing behind him. The trail of blood behind him, what was left of his arms, had huge holes in them, almost as if something had been torn out of them. Then nails. Had he ripped himself off the stake? His face slowly came up. His eyes beckoned once more to SpongeBob, but this time, they said something different. He slowly began to speak, and I'll never forget those words.
Kill me, please. I'm sorry. We're all sorry. Just end it, please. I can't take the pain.
SpongeBob responded with a hellish tone, even worse than before.
You ask for forgiveness from me. Do you take me as your god? You will receive no divine forgiveness from me. You see, it's my job to make you suffer. Burn, fat one.
And with a flick of her wrist, arms, hellish arms, seemed to just sprout from the ground and grabbed a hold of him and tore him down into what seemed an endless, hellish abyss. All the way down, you could hear that blood-curdling scream from before. Ah! Oh God! No, no, no! Then, SpongeBob slowly turned, as if nothing had happened. He even let out a small, evil giggle. Hee ha ha. By this point, I had almost been wishing for the same thing to happen to me, just so I wouldn't have to see this anymore. At this point, I was crying so hard, I almost felt like a little girl. I felt weak, empty, as if I was about to throw up. As much as I wanted to, I just couldn't choke anything out. SpongeBob then slowly approached, finally, the doors of the Krusty Krab. The path behind him. Oh God. The usual cheery path to the entrance had stakes all along it. Into them were hammered in the corpses of our familiar favorite characters. Sandy, Mr. Krabs, Larry the Lobster, Pearl, Squidward, Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy, Mrs. Puff, and so on. And on their faces, they all too wore that expression of utter sorrow and horror, as if they had died crying in fear of what stood before them. We then transitioned back to SpongeBob, who now reached for the door. Now, something happened out of this horrible, nightmarish thing I was witnessing. The whole building began to shake, almost as if during an earthquake. The only light in the room blew out, and the power went out. I was now in the dark, alone in the shaking building. I could hear my fellow interns flee and the developers run out. Without even a second thought of where I was, you could hear their, THERE, car tires squeal as they raced away. Why had they been in such a hurry to escape? Well, fucking, I don't know. An earthquake? Perchance? Perhaps? I don't know. Why the fuck else do you think that they were out of there in such a hurry? Oh my God, I hate this protagonist. Oh my God, I hate the narrator. Anyway, I then turned back to the show, almost as if I was being forced to watch. He now stood alone in the Krusty Krab. All lights were out, and there was utter silence, except for a small red glow coming from the door that usually led to the kitchen. That oh so familiar kitchen where SpongeBob usually stood, making his delicacies. He began to slowly approach it. Slowly. Silence. As he reached it, he stood in front of the door, almost as if he himself didn't want to go in. Reproachfully, he slowly turned the knob and the door swung open. Oh God, how I wish I could unsee what I saw and heard. SpongeBob faced a hellish demon of indescribable horror, burning in a portal to what seemed to be hell itself. Was this the devil? With no question mark. Oh God, the fear that came over me in that moment as his mouth slowly opened.
Did you make them suffer, son?
In the most hellish tone possible. One of extreme rage, anger, malice, hatred. SpongeBob replied, slowly saying, almost afraid to reply.
Yes, Father. They cried, suffered,
and burned. A feast of souls waits for you below.
It replies simply,
Good son. Now back to your cage and be gone with you.
And at that moment, I finally threw up all over my own lap. Something began to emerge from SpongeBob, and his body almost slowly deflated. It almost seemed to be a human, a dog, something. Oh God, I can't even find the words. It crawled toward the portal, and with a swift kick, its quote-unquote father kicked it into what appeared to be hell itself. Then it turned slowly and looked at me, the viewer. And slowly, it mouthed something. So subtle, so quiet, but chilling to the very core. It seemed as if it was speaking to me. It said,
"Oh, don't worry. Your world is next. It'll suffer at your hands as this one did at his."
It slowly transitioned over to SpongeBob, or what was left of his corpse, just skin.
"Oh, you'll all atone to what you have done. All of you. You're next."
And with that, the computer itself slammed shut and burst into flames. As it slowly burned, I could only weep at this horror. This couldn't be real. Nick, wake up. My eyes slowly flashed open. I was in the break room on the floor. Above me stood my friend, Tina, who said, "Oh, thank God you're okay. You just collapsed. You'd been out for 5 minutes." My whole body was rattled, broken almost. Turning to her, I had this uncontrollable urge. Turning to Tina, I said, "Don't thank God on this day. He won't save us. He has abandoned us. His abominations, his failed creations." Tina looked aghast, horrified. She ran out screaming. I quickly got up. Oh, quickly for once. I quickly got up and quietly left, and here I sat, writing my story of the day, calmly. Maybe now I accept my place. And oh, I have work to do. Isn't that right, Tina? Slowly turning to her dismembered body.
"You're next."
I end with this. I am coming. I am his chosen slayer for this world, a messenger of hell itself. And oh, I am coming for you, each and every one of you. And you'll never stop me. Don't try to run or hide. I'll find you. All right. Before I get into my review, I just wanted to say that this is one of the OG demonic lost episode pastas. This dates back at least 9 years because I remember it being posted to the Creepypasta wiki in 2011. This one was the first of its kind. That being said though, this pasta aged like milk. 100%. God, holy shit. This has been on my list to read ever since I began this show almost 3 years ago. Quite frankly, from the first time I read the story, I always hated it and how it was phrased. The narrator is annoying, constantly dropping the overly dramatic, "Oh God," and every time it was said in this story, it made me want to take a 44 Magnum to the cranium. Not to mention this story has a lost episode Creepypasta starter pack. Demonic, check. Constant repetition, check. Narrator goes crazy at the end and implies that he's gonna go on a murder spree in the name of anything unholy, check. If anything, it is well structured. It has an okay flow, I guess, but I cannot stand the annoying protagonist. I swear to God, if I hear one more melodramatic, "Oh God," I'm gonna nail his dick to the floor. I will tie him up and pour cement down his urethra. Now, I mentioned repetition. One thing I wanted to do at the end of the story was go over just how much repetition is in this story, so let's do that right quick, shall we? So I'm on the original Creepypasta wiki. It's on the Wayback Machine. This is from October 6th, 2011, so I was right about it being posted in like 2011 or some shit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type Control F, and I'm going to type O, and just see how many times it was said All right, so let's start up here. Oh, how very soon you'll see. There's 1. That's dramatic. Oh God, we have an oh God. That's 2. Oh dear God, 3. Oh, they probably already knew I was here. I'm not gonna count that one. We have another oh dear God. That's 4. Oh, how bad that thing annoyed me as a kid. I'm not gonna count that. Oh, so slowly. That's a typical term. Oh, what I would give if it just ended right then and there. That's 5. Oh, but there was something very, very wrong. I'm gonna count that. That's 6. Oh dear God. There's 7. Oh, the scream. There's 8. There's another oh God. It's 9. Right? I'm not gonna count this because that's dialogue. Oh, even faded. It was so hard stopping. I'm gonna count that. Dear God. Oh my God. That's 11 and 12. Oh God. That's 14. Oh God, 15. Oh God, 16. I'm not gonna count these two because that's dialogue. That's also dialogue. And oh, I'm not gonna count that. And oh, I'm not gonna count that either. So that's that. All right, we're gonna merge all this together. Let's go, dear Lord. All right, that's 17. So we have 17 repetitions of something all too much the same. There's a bunch of dear gods. All right. There's, oh God, dear God, oh God, oh God, dear God, oh my God, oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God. Now with that out of the way, let's type the next big offender, which is the word slowly. All right. Oh my God. All right. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41. A whopping 41 times the word slowly was used in this story. Now you see what I mean about repetition. This story is dog shit. Never liked it. Not to mention the grammar of the original story. So the copies of the story you see floating around the internet right now are grammatically corrected to an extent. Not all the grammar is correct, but some of it is. The way I read the story to you guys today is how I originally read it 9 years ago. And now you understand why I always hated the story. It's not so much the demons or the shock value, it's more of the horrible grammar and the absolutely annoying narrator whose dick I want to staple to a railroad track. So there you have it. There's my review of the story. Now I never ever have to see it again for as long as I live. And don't forget, tomorrow is the premiere episode of the Next Stall podcast with me and my buds, so please check that out tomorrow on this channel at 4 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And with that, I will leave you with the good old have a good day or good night or whatever time you're watching this. Thank you for watching and listening again to another episode of Undercooked Creepypasta. I will see you next time. Take it easy, folks.